you hate more than anything is that the team that you root for the most makes you for an entire week feel embarrassed about what the outcome was in their game the previous Saturday or Sunday if you're a college football fan or NFL fan, whatever it may be. But that, you don't want to be embarrassed. Like you don't want our good friend John Boy, not J-Boy, but John Boy, who covers the New York Yankees, out there rip-leading Brian Kelly and getting mad, and you being in a situation where you're the embarrassment, you're the punchline of the joke, and that is what a lot of you feel. I know it's what you feel. You've told me it's what you feel. I agree with you. It's how I feel. But I think we need to get a little back to reality, because losing makes us lose control, like that hip-hop song in the late 2000 or early 2010s. Music makes us lose control. I mean, listen, I get where everybody is coming from. I am right there with you. Some stuff does not need to be aired out in public. Because when it gets aired out in public, the truth needs to start coming out. And on Saturday in the postgame, we talked about Braden Swinson and Sage Ryan not being there. Okay? Today, per Brian Kelly, it seems as if, in his press conference, it would seem as if that both Braden Swinson and Sage Ryan were out of the first quarter because of disciplinary issues. Now, that was also established in the report from the ESPN TV copy. So it's not as if that this was glaring news. I mean, we saw it on the field actually happen. The aftermath of this, listen, if you're a player and you're getting paid NIL and you show up late for meetings in the NFL, you're cut or you're fined. You're cut or you're fined. And so we are moving into a world of paid playership. We're moving into a world where TV revenue money will be shared. And regardless of how good or bad you are, you can't be late for meetings. That's why apparently Deshaun Womack did not travel with the team. Now, you can agree or disagree with Brian Kelly on the simple nature of if guys need to be sitting when you're still technically in the SEC championship race, technically, from a mathematical standpoint. By the way, all the teams that you needed to win on Saturday did win. But let's just make it the case, your best defensive player in Braden Swinson was not available for you. Now, I think that you need to move off of Sage Ryan at safety, but that's a whole different conversation. A completely different conversation. Because the eye in the sky doesn't lie on that, and it hadn't lied on that the last 3 years. There's a lot of finger pointing going around inside the building, outside the building, fans, media, everybody pointing fingers because of what has happened. And your fans, you're right to do so. Brian Kelly said, we got to identify the problem and tweak things. I'm going to go through my process and run my process. You got to give him time to do it because he's not going anywhere. But to lose control and to say he's Les Miles or to fire him, number one, it's not realistic. And I felt like if Brian Kelly had a realistic buyout, a lot of people in this media would be saying to fire him this week. The true nature of where LSU is at the current moment, let's rip off the Band-Aid. The Band-Aid being ripped off is you're 37-23 as a program since NIL was enacted. And you want to know why you're 23 or 37-23? Because you haven't gone out in the portal and gotten dudes, and the dudes that you recruit through high school either weren't developed properly or you missed. So, with all of that being said, do I think that there's a better day coming for LSU? Yeah, I do. Because I do think Bryce Underwood signs. I do think Bryce Underwood goes through bowl prep. I do think he's going to be that dude eventually. That's my opinion of it. But I get labeled a lot of things, man. A lot of things. And what's interesting about all of this is when you overreact, who are the ones overreacting and why are they overreacting and just? Brian Kelly's got a lot he's got to answer for. There's no denying that. Zero denying that LSU, Brian Kelly, and his team have a lot that they have to answer. And guys, I got to be real with you. For the first time in a long time, I am not picking you to win this week. And I'll give you my reasons why. I 100% during the week will give you reasons why. I'm not picking you to win this week. Please prove me wrong. Please, dear Lord, prove me wrong. I've only done it a couple of times. And in the couple of times that I have, unfortunately, I have not been wrong in picking against them. Auburn in 2021 being the last time that I felt that LSU could go into a game and not win. I need to see you change something. Blake, it's Vandy. Okay. 3-point loss against Texas, and they beat Bama. You got to show me something. Clark Lee, a 4-year disciple under Brian Kelly, is the head coach at Vandy. Show me something. You did change something up last week that we're going to talk a lot about. I'm with you that you have the right to be upset. But to come unhinged before signing day hurt your program, and you know it. And you know it. It will. Because teams will take that clip and they will share it. I don't think that it was unchecked or it needed to continue to be unchecked, but it is what it is. All right, we got a lot to discuss. Let's get to comments. Where is everybody? Where is everybody? Yes, Rob, DM me. Where is everybody listening to from tonight? Corey says, hair game on point tonight, brother. Yeah, you see that? See how in Rufino and Joe show I was wearing a button down. Okay, I got too hot in the studio. I had to put on a short sleeve. Cold front is coming through though, so I might need to be ready. Drunk Vigo says BK just has to coach better. I know a lot of you are tired of hearing that, right? Like I know a lot of you are tired of hearing that. I do think the questions on Mondays and Thursdays are a little bad. How Brian Kelly's not been asked about safety play is a massive deal. It's a massive deal. Why nobody has the understanding of knowledge. And I'm not going to go in there. I mean, I was impressed. We clipped stuff and we were in press conferences and we've asked him questions. I'm not that dude. Now, if I have been there in the beginning of the season and would have gotten a mic and ask a question, I don't want to go in there now and feel like I'm taking a shot at the man because I'm not trying to. But how does nobody in the media corps ask him about safety play? Javian Toviano can give you better reps than what I'm seeing at safety right now. He can. What's up with Joel Roberts? What's up? What are you doing with Deshaun Spears? What are you doing with him? So we'll see, man. But I get that you're upset. I get you're upset. Jim's in the 434. Carlton's in the 337 along with Garrett. Dr. John Sibley Butler says Austin, Texas, 985 the Demons, 9-1. Dr. Butler, I will be gracing myself in my hometown this weekend. This week, I should say. Norfolk, Virginia says, Frank, good to have you in here as well. Peter is in the 318-31 great along with Sam. You know, I got a soft spot for the 318, man. Soft spot for the 318. Rasta Kid says, watching from Mobile, Alabama, the 251 stand up. Good to have you in here. Drunk says on YouTube that BK dishes out nothing but word salad. What do you expect? I mean, guys, the thing about, he's not saying anything in the press conferences. What did you expect? Like, are you expecting to say something that's provocative and gets the people going? Like, he's not Will Ferrell. Everybody knows what it means. It's provocative. Gets the people going. Great movie, by the way. Great movie. You get what I'm saying. You 100% get what I'm saying. All right, let's get moving here. Everybody do us a favor and hit the like and share if you're on Facebook. Share to all those groups and social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts. Rate, review, and subscribe. Let me get to a quick break. We come back. We recap LSU Florida next. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 60 years.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
We're back. If you are wondering, yes, we are watching the Lady Tigers right now inside the studio. We will be changing some things up tomorrow. We will be live at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time before the men's game tomorrow, who are coming off a really good win against Kansas State that we didn't get to a lot to talk about. Now, we talked about it a little bit on Friday. I really much enjoyed our time over at SilverStalk Digital Media. Those guys, Lee and Justin, do a fantastic job. I thank them for having us this weekend. So it was a lot of fun. And I greatly, greatly appreciate Justin and Lee for having us. We will be doing a lot more things from ServiceHawk Digital Media in the future. Let's get to actual football and actual talk here because, listen, LSU did take on Florida this past weekend and had a really bad loss. And if this is the show where you want to come in here and listen about defense and how the defense screwed things up and how the defense and Blake Baker have started to slip and things aren't going well, I don't know if this is going to be the show for you. Because when I look at LSU and I look back at LSU versus Florida in 2024, I'm going to look at it very simply. I'm going to say to myself, how can I come down on a defense that stopped Florida to 13 points through 50 minutes of the football game? How? Now, I could talk about the toss that was given up at the end of the game that pretty much sealed it for Florida. I could talk about the multiple times that on the boundary of the corner and even some of those slot fades that Florida ran, that they were pretty much one-dimensional in the passing game and what they wanted to do, and you couldn't stop it. I'm with you. But if you give me 50 minutes of a team scoring 13 points, I got to be real with you. And even Florida, considering the fact that Billy Napier scored 30-plus on you both seasons that you faced off against him, I'm going to take it. What I'm not going to take is this. This was the biggest offensive collapse that I've seen in the Bryant Kelly tenure. You know, you could say, well, Blake, Auburn, you might not be wrong there. Scored about the same amount of points, but you might not be wrong there. At least you were moving the ball inside the 20s religiously. But it was a complete and total collapse for you offensively. Look, the excuses have to stop. Whether you agree with my opinion on the take, whether you agree with or you think something differently than I do, it doesn't matter. Offensively, we have one thing that's got to be in common. If you can't get points in the red zone, every team in America is going to be right there with you. Now, LSU is 67th in the country in red zone offense, and that's literally only because Damian Ramos has connected on a lot of field goals inside of the 20. Or inside the 25, I should say. But the God's honest truth about this team is, over the last, 2 quarters against A&M, let's just call it 4 quarters, because you did some bad things offensively in the first half of Texas A&M too. So the last 3 games that you've played offensively, you stunk. You stunk to high heaven. In the last 3 games, you have 35 points. It's not good enough. It simply is not good enough. How in the good wide world do you have the ball for 42 minutes? How do you have the ball for that long and 92 plays and you get 16 points? Now, I have my opinions, and I told you if LSU did lose to Florida that I'm just going to tell you it's going to be the same old, same old. Now, you can get mad at me, and you can say, oh, here goes Blake again and his crazy Italian ass. But the bottom line is, guys, you are missing in a lot of areas. You're missing. Now, I came out here a week ago today and said, God help us all. Actually, I said, God bless Captain America. If you can't run the ball on Florida, tee it up because it's on the Monday show. I'm about to start clipping things and say, hey, guys, if you're going to do this, bam. And then the clip just show up, and it's us a week before talking about what it is that you're going to do against Florida. You can run the football. Well, you did. And you did with Caden Durham. You did with Josh Williams. You had 170 yards. 169 for all of those who want to fight in the chat. 170 yards rushing. Guys, 170 yards. And you got 16 points to show for it. You have a wide open Aaron Anderson on a critical 3rd and 7 where you could extend your lead and extend it greatly. You can't do it. Garrett feels like he has pressure when he doesn't, and he rolls out, and he fumbles the football. 3 fumbles on the day, by the way. Only one of them got recovered by the other team. And the only way it got recovered by the other team is because Emory Jones picked it up and ran with it. And then his big ass fumbled. Because Brian Kelly had a play sheet. Now, I do think it was the best called game that you had, ironically. You were really creative on 3rd down. I feel like that's Brian Kelly. I think you did some things in the running game on third down that you had not done all year. I felt like that was Brian Kelly. You did some things in short and intermediate stuff with Aaron Anderson early. I felt like that was Brian Kelly. And yet, when the going got tough, this team couldn't overcome. Now, truth be told, if Lenore Sellers, who, by the way, has been progressing all year, don't know if you know, he threw 5 touchdowns this past weekend for South Carolina. What happens if that young man doesn't go out of the game against South Carolina? Where are you really? Where are you really? Guys, it is a statistical anomaly. You literally manufactured ways to lose this football game. You physically and mentally found ways to screw this up. Guys, if any team in the country has 42 minutes of time of possession and both of their lead backs combined for 170 yards, not only am I going to talk about, well, damn, how bad did you whip their ass? I'm going to ask you when you put the second string in. But you know what? This is an old AYS saying. And for the ones of you that have been here the longest, thumbs up if you've been in his show religiously for over the last 2 years. Give yourself a round of applause. Because the real ones know and the real ones remember that the old saying that we had used a lot on this show had been, yards don't mean anything if you can't score points. And that's what happened to LSU against Florida. Doesn't matter that you ran for 170. Doesn't matter that you threw for over 250. None of that matters. Because if you cannot convert these good drives into touchdowns, guys, you were going to get beat. Against a team, and I don't mean this the wrong way against Florida, that is not more talented than you. They're not. Like, well, Blake, they just beat them on the field. They are not more talented than you are. You continued over and over and over again to find ways to shoot yourself in the foot. How you were able to manufacture a loss the way that you did is absolutely insane to me. But as the old saying goes, and like we've said on this show religiously, yards don't mean shit. Blake Garrett's throwing for 3,126 yards. Mean nothing if you can't get the points. Mean nothing if you can't score touchdowns. Guys, you know who you are? You're Auburn. Uh-oh. Blake, we're not as bad as Auburn. It's what Auburn had been doing. Now, you're not as bad as Auburn because Garrett's not as bad as Peyton Thorne. But you want to know why a team like Auburn, who's top 30 in the country in total offense, and why they're not better than they are? They can't score because they turn the ball over. Or they make very bad mental mistakes. We missed way too many wide open dudes on third down. We had 24 of the 93 plays that we ran came on third down. Now, the man who breaks the film down could probably attest to this just as much as I can. You missed a lot of wide open guys in the red zone. Way too many. And then you make bonehead plays if you're Kyron Lacey, where C.J. Daniels gets in the end zone for a touchdown, and you didn't even have to touch the DB. You're missing. Guys, this week, as much as you want to blame Joe Sloan and Brian Kelly, here's the truth. I don't think this one's on them. If truth be told, and you actually did your job and you didn't make dumb penalties, you would have won. Blake, we can't call out players. Well, they're getting paid, and they're about to get paid over $200,000 next year in TV revenue money. Bullshit. Here's the thing. Before we get to Carter, who, by the way, is joining us on a Monday for the first time in a month. Not really. 2 weeks. I am tired of hearing that we got to coach better like you. But I did think that they coached better in this one. I do think things were better coach-wise for you this week, especially with offensive play calling. But if you're going to get safety play the way that you did, if you're going to get interior offensive line play the way that you did, if you're going to run the ball on one drive for 52 yards, and then when you get in the red zone, you start throwing it all over the place to get Garrett a touchdown and boost his stats, it's not going to work. How do you start a drive and run the ball for 52 yards, and when you get in the red zone, you come to a screeching halt? Why do you have to take timeouts in the red zone? Guys, every time Garrett calls a timeout, whether we're not getting the play in or he's trying to check into something, the drive stalls. Every time. Every single time. But the biggest thing that I'm really tired of hearing is that we didn't finish. Because I agree with what Brian Kelly said today. A&M, guys, it was a one-score game with 8 minutes left to go. And Garrett threw his third interception. So one-score game. It was a 5-point game. Bama, yeah. I mean, that kind of pretty much blew you out, even though you would have made it a one-score game if you don't throw a pick in the red zone. Oh, there goes the red zone again. Couldn't finish. Last week was the same, and if we want to talk about USC, it was the exact same too. Well, wait. Same thing happened at South Carolina and Ole Miss. We got to finish football games. Well, your team's not disciplined enough to finish football games, and neither is your coaching staff. Not right now. Because if one of the other ones were, and maybe it is your coaching staff. Maybe it is. Maybe they can overcome. Because some of the plays that Joe Sloan called in the fourth quarter, guys were wide open. And they were missed. That's the thing that bothers me the most, is that I do think that you're better than some of these teams that you're playing, ironically. What I don't think is that you know how to finish, and that is what she said. Okay. LaVor Lee says $200K, they better not drop another mother bleeping game. That's a $2 super chat. Well, I mean, here's the real thing. If they're gonna give TV revenue share to football players, how much was college teams pocketing that and being able to do whatever they want? Boy. Rodney Scott with a $2 super chat says 88 looked like Wilmer Marshall reincarnated. Yeah, 88 kicked our ass. He kicked our ass. He kicked our ass a lot. I do think that there were some times that Paul Mbinga did some good things in the running game, though. You don't have 170 yards and him get obliterated on every play. Crayons DT with a $5 super chat says BK's failure to retain guys like Mason Smith and Mekhi Wingo are coming home to roost in all these losses. Well, I got to be real with you, though, Crayons. Before we get to Carter here, I know I'm a minute late, but you're right. Not being able to retain some of those guys does hurt. However, that has nothing to do with you getting 35 points in the last 3 games. Nothing. It saves nothing on how you've been performing in the red zone. We can blame the defense a lot, man. But they've given up 33.33 points the last 3 games. It's not good. I'm not saying that it's good. But, guys, for you to be at 35 points yourself, It's abysmal. All right. Let me get to a quick break. The man is here. You know that is Carter the Power Bryant. Let me get to a quick break. When we return, Carter joins us next. Stay with us. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
Carter Bean Bryant, good evening, good sir. How are you?
Yeah, I'm going hatless because you're hatless. Showing off the hair looks great, man.
Thank you. I have impeccable Italian mafia styled hair.
Huh? Yeah, to in honor of Tommy DeVito getting the job back.
I don't know if you got the text. I think only Italians got this text this morning when Tommy DeVito was announced that he was going to be the new Giants quarterback. We all, all of us Italians, true Italians, got a text message this morning and said, let everybody know that we're back. And we are back. Tommy DeVito is back, so the Italians are back, and he's going to lead the Giants to a playoff run. Here we go.
And before we get to football, I'm glad Samias.
Technically talking about football, I guess.
Yeah, true. But I do want to shout out another person that's back, Samias Smith, coming off the ACL. I like seeing her balling out versus Troy Flaugier as well. But now we get to football. Let's go.
Speaking of basketball, what about the big win from Matt McMahon this past week?
Oh, Matty Baskets. Let's go, bro.
Will Wade who?
Right. And that's Jerome Tang, an Elite Eight head coach. It's good stuff, baby. You love to see it.
You do love to see it. All right. Let's get to it here. Carter, how in the good wide world do you have the ball for 42 minutes? How do you outgain Florida? How do you have more rushing yards than them? How do you have more passing yards than them? How do you get to the red zone more than them? How do you do what you did on Saturday and find a way to lose a game against Florida the way that you did?
Yeah, Blake, I actually agreed with Brian Kelly after the game that it is the weirdest box score that he's ever seen. And that says a lot about, and I know you said it wasn't really a coaching game. It does say a lot about coaching that you managed to lose a game like this, right? And look, LSU had a lot of things go their way. Going into the season or going into this game, Blake, what do we all fear? It's DJ Lagway's legs. No, he beat you from the freaking pocket. A true freshman quarterback beat you from the pocket. And look, this to me was the overarching thing in the film study, watching the plays over and over. It honestly was, Blake, the same players struggling on every single play. It was a lot of young, like very, very young year one and year two guys that aren't ready to be full-time SEC football players. And it makes me uncomfortable, Blake, to talk about it because they're young, right? College football is really freaking hard, especially if you're playing at the highest level on the road in some of the most hostile environments you could possibly play. That's where it showed up because, yes, of course, Garrett Nussmeier had another really poor game. But on top of that, there were guys that are year one and year two guys that started that were not making any plays and, in fact, allowing a lot of big plays to happen because of their existence on the field. So that falls on not only the coaching, but it falls on the roster management. And one thing I think LSU has done a bad job of going into games and also just going into the season is evaluating their rosters. It's been a big problem. And until LSU fixes it, whether it's in the portal or whether it's development or whatever, they're going to keep running into issues where they run out of gas at the end of the season and just get mauled.
All right. I'm going to combat that in two ways. You ready?
Let's hear it.
Doesn't stop the CJ Daniels. So let me back up. I agree with everything you said. It is the same cast of characters. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
The problem that I have with it is Kyron Lacy did not have to bump into the DB the way that he did. That's a touchdown.
Right. Yeah, that was a bad decision. Yeah.
3rd and 7. You're going to be at the 10-yard line with a chance to go in and score, and you miss Aaron Anderson and you take a sack. That's not on the interior offensive line because Josh Williams missed it, which I guess you can say Josh is a cast character in pass pro, but that's not an O-line issue. The fumble, okay, the fumble's bad by Garrett, the one that Emory Jones picked up.
Yeah, that was bad. Yeah,
it's bad because he's got Kyron Lacy on an in route. I get that some of the mesh routes were a little confusing. Doesn't stop his number one overall read, that being the dig route, okay, or at least what I perceived as. I thought that would be his number one and then go to the other two. That's how normally it works. But what do I know? Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop Emory Jones from having a massive lack of awareness to pick the ball up and run with it like a loaf of bread in his hands and then fumble it. At least you have the ability to punt the football. And you're not giving them the ball inside the 30. Like that's an issue. Okay. So I'm with you. But here's the problem about the interior offensive line at the current moment. They play bad, and I'm with you. They also were a big part in some cutback lanes for Josh. Like Miles Frazier got enough of a defensive lineman for Josh Williams to have a 22-yard run, right? Like, I mean, they didn't play great, but they also didn't play bad enough for you to lose the football game either. But not by a long stretch. So there comes
I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
Or they did. I'm sorry, they didn't.
Oh,
because
you can't sit here and say that Paul Mabinga and DJ Chester did not have disastrous outings.
I'm not going to put it clarified as disastering, but what I would say is you also can't say that you got into the red zone and Kyron that the CJ Daniels touchdown that's off the board. It's off the board, is it not?
No, you're right.
You can't stop. Carter, how else are they moving inside the 20s? If they're having disastrous games, I'm sorry.
You can.
Hold on.
Those plays can still work if they're getting beat.
Carter, your interior offensive line is not disastrous if you run the ball for 170 yards. It's not.
Like a lot of the runs were outside runs.
Okay,
that you can run away from. Blake, I love you, but Paul Mabinga had a disastrous game. It was bad. Like that's what I'm saying. It makes you uncomfortable to say it because he's young and
here's the problem though. Okay, with him. All right, you can say he's having a disastrous game, which I don't disagree that he had a bad game. You had a right tackle who has been a day one starter not have the football IQ enough to fall on a fumble and try to run for it. That is idiotic.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah. No. He
The
shouldn't have
third
done that.
the 3rd and 7 play, that's on Garrett. The Kyron Lace, the CJ Daniels TD takeaway, Carter, that's not on your interior O-line. So we want to label it as one thing, and I'm with you. It's not just one thing. You do not run the football, and Carter, their longest run came on the inside zone.
Okay, which one are you?
The longest 3 runs came from inside zone, if we're going to be real. So if you want to say disastrous, then how are they having 3 runs of 14, 16, and 22?
Like they got beat on almost every other play. Like it's not just me saying this. The PFF grades prove it to be true.
The PFF views a third of the game film.
Yeah. Okay. So even if I don't know, you would know, I wouldn't know. But even if that were the case, okay. Once again, they're only year 2 players. I don't like saying this about these 2 players in particular, but like DJ Chester has not had a game from PFF that's graded as replacement level. He's not had a single one per their grading. So you're telling me over what, a 10-game sample that you're starting?
I'm not talking about a 10-game sample. I'm talking about a 1-game sample.
Yes. But my point is, I would be a little bit more lenient on that if it's not been this case almost every single game at center, which is, you would agree, the most important offensive line position.
Can you defend the 3 longest runs being inside zone?
Like a lot of them were outside runs.
No, Carter, your 3 longest runs are inside zone, buddy. Like they are. I mean, it comes from your film study too when you talk about Miles Frazier getting enough, even though he lost the rep. Okay.
And you're right. Okay, but
disastrous is of maybe we're fighting over semantics.
Right.
Okay. But there's a chance we are. But at the same time, Carter, again.
So tell me this. Would you, after the first half, when Miles Frazier came back into the game, would you have taken Paul Mabenga out and put Tyree Adams in?
Yes.
Okay. So we're in agreement there. All right.
Yes.
I'm still shocked that they did not do that. Okay. Especially in a game where he's played
hurt. The kid's hurt. I'll tell you. The kid's hurt. The only reason they put him in
Adams. Okay.
The only reason they put him in is they had no other choice.
Let me tell you what was told to me about that. Okay. I am shocked Adams is even playing, knowing the procedure he had, a few weeks ago. So the fact that he's courageously stepping in, and that was the only way that I would describe not putting him in, because that was also Adams. It was clearly known. And Blake, obviously, you're more plugged in than I am. But we weren't able to talk on the phone before it. But it was known that Adams was the 6th guy, right? So,
without Brian Kelly said it.
Yes. So even though Tyree Adams is, muscling it out here, once again, I thought he was out for every indication to me was he might be ready for a bowl game. But
they had to have him for emergency.
Right. So
literally,
they told him, hey, you need – okay. So it all makes sense now. So even with that said, it got to the point where I would have put him at left guard just to see what happens. Now, once again, I hate to pile on those 2 players in particular. And obviously the problems with DJ Chester at center is magnified when Garrett Dellinger is not healthy. Okay. But on top of all of that, the center and the left guard struggling, Garrett had a really tough game. And I know that's where he wanted to go to next.
No, take Garrett out of the equation. But if we do go there, that's fine. Take him out of the equation. It's not only him. Okay. Meaning your coaching staff doesn't get a call in, okay, in time enough, and you got to call a timeout to kill a drive. Okay. Kyron Lacy had a drop, a miss, and so did Chris. I mean, you had a drop by Mason Taylor on an out route. So, I mean, it's not all on Garrett, but it is on everybody. But
and to add to that, Blake, the blocking techniques on the edge was not great in this game.
I agree that it wasn't.
Yeah, it was tough because one thing about Malik and BTJ is that there were good blockers too, for the most part. And LSU's had some issues with that. It's not as bad as
they don't have want to. I don't think they're bad. They don't have want to.
That's always tough for me to gauge, but it's been a problem. And look,
the outside zone. There was an outside zone in the first half that Caden Durham could have went for a touchdown, and Mason Taylor missed him.
Yeah, and then the Xavion run to the outside in the first half was Mason had a miss.
It's not all on Garrett, but it's accumulation of those things, though.
Right, and honestly, like I think a lot of what happened versus Alabama, I was a little bit more defensive. I defended a little bit more on the Garrett Nussmeier side of things, but this Florida game was bad. Now, did he do some good things in this game? Yes, obviously it wasn't interception here, but
he had 3 fumbles.
Yeah, and like there's a lot at play. He's gotten to the point now where he just doesn't trust the middle of his offensive line at all, which is really the only way to describe him not stepping up into the pocket. And look, it's not just us saying this. You sent me a text of a national draft analyst pointing this out. Corey Kennan is his name. And I don't know Corey personally, but I've seen his work before. He knows ball.
He literally points to the hole. Right. I mean, like he literally, right. Yeah. I mean,
yeah. And Garrett made as much as, the Kyron mistake and the mistakes by some of the offensive linemen, Garrett made life a lot harder on everyone. And look, I'm not sitting here telling Garrett to become Jaden or anyone like that, or even
he's got to run the ball.
Yeah, it's a big problem. And this is where I will heavily defend not only DJ Chester, but any offensive lineman that's ever played the game. If you're given clear rushing lane, so just to give you an idea of what I saw to be a big problem is because Florida didn't have to respect Garrett's ability to run, in the run game, the backside end could just crash and squeeze every angle down, and that is brutal on your offensive line, and it's brutal on your running back as well. So the fact that they never actually pull it, okay? Blake, you know this because you watch all the teams, but I cover Arkansas and Texas pretty closely on my SEC channel. To win the game, Steve Sarkisian called a Quinn Ewers pull read, and what happened, Blake, on the play?
They got a first down, and it ended the game.
It wasn't just a first down. It was a clear first down. I mean, he could have gotten that running backwards.
Was slow. And it was slow.
It was not even a clean pull. Okay, the fact that
he looks like me, like trying to run.
It's one of those things. It's one of those weird things where, like you at home would have been able to do it because you're not expecting it, and the pull is what now every team that plays Texas is like, oh shit, I got to worry about Quinn pulling it once in a blue moon. The fact that you haven't done it once, and the fact that Garrett will not run up the gut, and it's not only the running up the gut, Blake, it's stepping in, right? Sometimes in life, as you know, as a father or two, you have to come in, okay? you have to, okay? That, and I don't ask Antonio.
Show is canceled.
No, it's not. And I don't have any kids, so sometimes in life you have to do it, right? Ask Antonio Cromartie, ask Phillip Rivers, ask Nick Cannon. You have.
Oh,
to,
Nick Cannon's the GOAT.
Yeah, Nick Cannon. Trust me, he literally has been wilding out. So and wilding in. So and shout out Wilding Out. I have a few friends that have been on that show. But either way, step up into the pocket is a message. But honestly, Blake.
Go ahead.
No, go on. Go on.
I couldn't get through the first quarter before this happens.
Yeah, you just got to throw that to Aaron.
I mean, I understand that Josh gets obliterated. I get it. I understand it. Carter, it's 3rd and 7.
Right. So was it the first quarter or the second quarter play?
Oh, it might have been the second. This might have been the second quarter.
Yeah.
This has got to be converted. I mean, like, Carter, I mean, it's got to be converted.
Yeah.
If I am Aaron Anderson, I am livid. I am absolutely livid. Because this is just the pinnacle, right? Like, this is just the cherry on top. I get your O-line's bad. I get the interior O-line's bad. However, Carter, from a coaching aspect, here's what I know is happening. I know for a fact. Let me not say I know it for a fact. Let me back up. Scratch that. I would assume that Garrett is being coached that because of the interior offensive line, when you see open guys short, throw it.
Yeah.
It's being told to him. Okay. They had tried to establish that with him early by throwing the ball to Aaron Anderson 4 times. Literally.
Ever decide? Yeah, you're right.
And in the second half, he went away from it. Completely. I love Chris Hilton more than anybody. Stop throwing it.
Yeah, he's playing bad. Yeah, he's bad. Yeah.
Get the 8 yards. And Aaron Anderson, who has half the targets, yet again, even with the targets that he had this past week. Hiya. Okay, mosquito. That's got to be completed. The picture we just showed has got to be completed. So I'm sorry if you're listening on the audio podcast, but it's a picture that I posted on Twitter. You can go and find it.
Yeah.
So look, I'm with you. I think we're missing the bigger understanding of here that when they are doing good, they're not getting the help that they deserve. So when they win, like on the fumble, and like this situation right here on a 3rd down, which by the way, they sent 6. You can't see it on the still shot. They sent 6. So everybody's got a man. And I understand Josh loses the rep. That's got to be completed. And you're the highest paid guy for a reason. I mean, the quarterback always will and always should be. But you got to complete that. That wins and loses you football games, especially when you've been struggling in the red zone.
Yeah.
And here's another. Oh, go ahead.
No. To your point, okay, there are instances where, you had the fumble, and then on the following drive, there was a 3rd down where he really couldn't do anything about it. But let's take Joe Sloan's best play call of the night, where
false juke, or it wasn't a juke.
Well, so what they did was they were running outside zone repeatedly. Then they ran play action out of it, and Mabanga got beat. But Garrett had a chance to still step up and throw a deep corner to a wide open Kyron Lacey, and he didn't step up. He ran into a sack, and he could have just, if he didn't want to throw it to Kyron,
didn't want to take the hit.
And if he didn't want to throw it to Kyron, he could have just ran through once again for a huge amount of yardage. And what happened was, Blake, is a big problem with the LSU offense. If I were to break it down as simply as I possibly can, and this is where you could also defend Sloan in many ways. All right. Garrett's deep ball accuracy has been ass for the most part. It's not been good. It's not been where it can be with his arm talent. All right. And then obviously LSU's had some issues running the football with, 2 high shells. And a lot of that, once again, is on your offensive line, your play calling, your sequencing.
Didn't have a problem this week.
Right. And what I would say is it all goes back to Garrett's inability to run, or unwillingness to run, because what Florida did was, with their underneath linebackers, they would completely turn their backs to the play.
Had no regard for human world that he would run the ball.
Right. And what that does, just for viewers, you could just think of this simply. You don't have to know football. You don't have to know X's and O's. What that does for a defender is, if I know you're never going to do this thing, I can eliminate that thing from being a part of the Rolodex of things that I need to do as a defender. So if I could completely turn your back and break and just guard all in breakers and know that the quarterback is never just going to run wide open through a lane, then defense is going to continue to do it. And then your pass rush. This makes your life a lot harder on offensive linemen. Okay. And part of the issue for LSU's offensive line is the culture shock, because last year you had the single quarterback that helps offensive linemen more out than anybody else. And now you have a quarterback who makes life very difficult on your offensive line because you never tuck and run. So if I, as a defensive lineman, know that I don't have to worry about that at all, I'm able to pin my ears back. I also know that I can, versus an offensive tackle, beat you to the inside, beat you to the outside, and not have to worry about anything. So it's a problem. That's why, I have harped on Garrett so much for running, and I've gotten a lot of messages saying, well, you do know it's not going to, you're expecting him to run for 20, 30 yards.
You're not. You're expecting him to run for 7.
That's it. That alone is so valuable. And one other thing that you'll notice from a lot of quarterbacks that do that just alone, if they have the ability to do that and they don't turn the football over, their QBRs are a little bit higher, right? Because a quarterback scramble is such an efficient play. All right, think about it. If a quarterback scrambles, there is no drop that can happen to the play. There is no tip pass that can happen to the play. You could obviously be sacked, but if you're stepping up into the pocket, guess what else happens, Blake? You're not getting stripped 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So, Jaden took a lot of sacks his first year as a starter. Well, guess what? A lot of those sacks,
a lot of them were like 2 yards.
2 yards, 1 or 2 yards. So instead of it being second and Ponchatoula, it's just second and 11, right? So that's a big problem with Garrett. And I understand. I will defend him to the high heavens in many ways because of protection issues, play calling, and all of that. But look, a lot of it is on him, in particular in this Florida game. And Blake, I do my own grading of every game. I thought this was his worst game. I really do think so. I thought this was his worst game, and I hope it changes for Vanderbilt.
Oh, I'm not picking LSU to win this week.
Oh, no, come on.
I'm not.
You can't. You can't. The first week in the pure. So I saw someone tweet this out. I don't remember which writer. We have worn gold uniforms since '96. Okay.
By the way, quick question. Trivia.
Yeah, let's go.
What was LSU's record? Don't look it up. Everybody in the chat. What was LSU's record in 1996?
I don't know. 10-2.
They were 10-2 under Jerry DiNardo. They went to the Peach Bowl and beat Clemson. They also beat Tulane that year.
I'm glad we're not playing them this year. I'm glad.
All right, stop. We're not losing to Tulane.
I got into it with someone about this earlier.
It's not going to happen. LSU has struggles against SEC opponents. I'm with you. Put them in a bowl game together. See what happens. I double dog there.
Put them in the Pop-Tart Bowl. I'll be there.
I'll be there. Where is the Pop-Tart Bowl?
I think it's in North Carolina or somewhere like that. I don't know. But
if LSU goes to the Pop-Tart Bowl and wins it, I will do this one. I will eat a whole thing of brown cinnamon Pop-Tarts warm with a glass of milk. On the show.
I tweeted out earlier, I'll go be the mascot and eat 50 boxes on site if LSU is in. I want to be in the Pop-Tart Bowl so bad.
Dude, we're going to be in the Pop-Tart Bowl. That's what pisses me off. All right.
Yeah, no, it sucks. Look, one more thing about this, Blake, and we didn't even talk about the defense. I know we're out of time, but
I'm not going to. Sorry. You gave up 13 points, Carter, in 50 minutes. You had the ball for 42 minutes, and you got 16 points. I'm sorry. I ain't talking about them. Nope.
Oh, Blake, come on. They were not good. They were not good.
Carter, they gave up 13 points in 50 minutes. They broke, and you know why they broke. I'm sorry. By the way, one of the TD drives wasn't one of the didn't one of the TD drives start at the 32 yet again? You want to talk about defense? You want to talk about defense? Did you know that LSU's offense started at the 20-yard line? Did you know that Florida started at the 40?
No. I'm not saying they played the worst game ever. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being great, 1 being not great, I would give them a 5, maybe. I'd give them a 5. They did average 7 yards.
You can't have the ball for 42 minutes and blame them for a loss. Sorry.
No, I'm not blaming them for a loss, but they weren't.
All right. Well, let's get it. All right. Let's get into them then. Go ahead.
So they played a pocket quarterback this weekend. So they had the benefit of the best attribute of a true freshman quarterback not being there. Okay. I'll say this. I think certain individuals defensively played really, really, really bad, and some guys did some really, really good things.
All right, let's call it what it is. You're talking about safety play.
Well, not just safety. You had one guy play a shutdown corner game, and then you had the other corner really struggle. Okay. It was tough. It was tough.
Yeah, Ashton Stamps got beat. He got beat a lot.
Yeah, it was tough. And so basically.
Did you hear BK today?
Yeah, what did he say?
That first touchdown?
Oh, on the stutter and go or the
Well, he said you heard him say that we were supposed to be doubling him, right? That's literally how he led off the take. The double move, it was supposed to be Badger or Marshall, whichever one. Badger was supposed to be double teamed. They're supposed to have a guy right on top of Ashton Stamps. So let's take this away from Ashton Stamps. Act like the first one didn't happen. Here's the bigger problem that I have is Whit Weeks. Not Whit Weeks' play, even though I think instead of the honky badger, he's playing like the donkey badger. Okay. All right. But it's that you lost communication when you were supposed to be doubling a guy, and then you lost communication on the back-breaking toss.
Yeah, and Whit's been either like
donkey badger. Call him what it is. He's been the donkey badger.
Well, he's either been like touching Devin White like level games, and then he's had some other games where it's just been tough.
Donkey badger.
I mean,
you know what they call a donkey? Let's call it what it is.
He had a tough game.
Okay.
He had a tough game.
Okay, Carter, these kids were getting paid, bud.
I'll be critical of a player. He had a.
Okay.
I think he had a tough.
Yeah, he's playing very bad, but he's not the only one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I feel personnel wise, you're really, really struggling playing so many young guys in such a hostile place.
I got to stop you. I've heard that for weeks. That's bullshit. 7 of your starters are seniors.
Yeah,
7.
yeah. But all the young guys who had to play a lot were not good.
Well, Whit Weeks has been in 22 games. Whit Weeks has played 22 games.
No. He played. I have no problem like fully criticizing him, but
but hold on.
Devon Keys had a tough game.
Okay, it's his first game ever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, so
but
take Devon Keys.
That goes back to the structural problems of building a roster and building depth.
I'm with you, but the problem is you got one freshman on the field, and then you start off your defensive line in the second quarter with Savion Jones, a senior, Braden Swinson, a senior, Per Shand, a senior, and Gio Paez, a senior. That was your defensive line for majority of the game in some aspects or some regards. You have a senior at linebacker. You have 3 seniors at safety. 3.
Oh, yeah.
Carter. That's 9 of the 11. What I'm not going to do is look at the other 2 2 in that equation and say, okay, Ashton Stamps, you had a tough game. Okay, that's fine. Carter, the safeties are making boneheaded plays.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm with you.
Sage Ryan cannot find an angle if he's got to be the worst person for geometry ever. Because he doesn't know angles.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's a rather obtuse statement from you. And
I'm tired of hearing Brian Kelly run out there every week, to your point, and saying to me, we're young, our team is young, when 9 dudes on the field are seniors. It's Carter, it's very, very, very tough for me.
No, I am on your side. It's just the year 1 and year 2 guys really had tough games. And it was tough. It was really, really, really tough.
Carter,
that's why I don't
there's
feel
9
comfortable talking
seniors on the field.
Yes, and they were bad, but Ashton Stamps was so burnt.
He's not a first-year guy. Carter, he started 7 games at the end of the year.
Yeah,
to be honest, so let's call it what it is.
They shouldn't have given him Uno. They shouldn't have given him Uno.
Oh, my God, here you go.
The jersey number thing is a real thing.
Carter, he started 17 games. We're in November. This kid's not a sophomore anymore.
Yeah, you need better returns. And
you need better returns, okay?
And
let's
Blake,
call it what it is.
And Blake, you know this personally from our private conversations. I am a huge Blake Baker believer. Huge. Okay?
He doesn't have the dudes.
What? Yeah, he doesn't.
He does not have the dudes.
Okay. And I will say there was concern, and I hammered this point home that I felt the defensive depth wasn't where it needs to be. There was a lot of concern amongst LSU staffers that they felt this way. Okay, and they did. Okay, okay.
When Jacoby Guillory went down, they almost lost their mind.
Yeah, and it's been a problem. But what I would also say is, if I was Corey Raymond, okay, or if I was Blake Baker, and the fact that I kept putting Stamps in press man, that was bad. You shouldn't have. If you were going to keep playing him, knowing that he's struggling, okay, you can't put him in press man. You just can't do it. You're setting himself up to not succeed, right? Because look, Stamps has had some really good outings. He's made some really good plays.
Did really good against Trey Harris, as an example. At least I thought, in my opinion.
Yeah, after the early miss, he did some good things. I have no idea why they kept putting him there. Okay, and it was
who are they going to put there for him?
Right, but I wouldn't have, like, for instance, on the deep pass to Badger, Stamps was in. Well, the second to last touchdown where they pounded it on. Stamps was also beaten really, really, really bad in that play. And I would have been like, wait, we just need to stop. We just need to. But I think that Stamps just got beat so bad it really didn't matter. So in their defense, it was tough.
You got to have dudes to play man-to-man coverage.
Yeah, and honestly, and I've had other corners tell me this. To play corner, you just gotta have it. Like, it's just, I think you could coach up a not dude safety and have him be a decent safety. I think a corner, it's either you got it or you don't. Now, can you work on things and get better? Yes, but to me, corner is a position you either have it or you don't. Okay.
Well, you got 2 5-stars committed, and they're gonna have to play immediately.
Yeah, and look, this is something I don't get from many. Is like, well, LSU's playing bad. The recruits are gonna leave.
Oh, I'm ready for this conversation. Let's do it.
And then it's, oh, you do your show and you do the film, the recruits are going to leave. No, that would, if I was a recruit, I'd be like, hell, I could play. You're telling
And
me
play now.
as
That's
a true.
that's why Cade Phillips and DJ's coming.
Yeah, if I am a freaking true freshman and I'm watching the game, or I mean, I think young 17 and 18-year-olds are more excited about prom and going to Applebee's and getting 2 for $20 sizzlers and all that stuff.
Not what I was worried about at 18, but okay.
Right. Or if you're worried about getting a can of dip.
You're talking about come in and come out. I mean, that's all I was worried about. You were talking about that earlier.
Right. So you have better things to do than watch my field study. But if they were to watch that field studies, a recruit.
The parents would. The dad would.
Yes. Okay. And look, I get angry messages from players, parents, and all that. You get angry messages all the time, not more than me. But if I were a young freaking recruit and I see guys getting cooked, the opposite is true. You're telling me that I have a path to playing time? And let me tell you this, the coaches can sell that in recruiting as well. Like, hey, if you're good enough, don't take my word for it that I'm going to play you. I'm not going to have a freaking choice. You're going to get your chance. You're going to get to prove it. Come. Come see if you can play right away, because there's obviously playing time there.
Here's the problem. I see a lot. I thought this is where you're going to take it, but I'll take it here. Here's the problem that I see with this fan base, and I think coaching staff. Oh, we have help coming. Help is on the way. That does nothing for me next year. It does nothing. And your job is to, like, are we going to go into a line with both of our boundary corners being true freshmen? That's what you think is going to lead you to a playoff.
So you want to be active in this portal cycle?
Oh, you're damn right.
Yeah, and that's
you're
what
damn right.
That was going to be my.
Let's just say you don't go for corner, okay? If a Caleb Downs goes in the portal and you don't offer him $1.2 million, this is where I'm going to start getting unhinged, because then you're not really ready to go. You're not. What did you hire Austin Thomas for?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You want to claim that you're the Ohio States of the world, right? You're a brand like that. You're a brand like Ole Miss right now. You're 37-23 since the portal era opened, and you know what you haven't done? Won a recruiting battle war when it came to money. Now, you know that, and I know that. By the way,
that's true.
Hold on 1 second. We talked about Oklahoma tonight on Rufino and Joe show. You want to hear something very interesting? Oklahoma, their run defense is 18th in the country, and their offense is worse than yours. And you want to hear something else? Demonic Williams is 4th in the SEC in tackles for loss. Don't want to pay the money for David Stone? Okay, sounds good. He leads all freshmen in tackles for loss. So you want to come at me and you want to say it's not how you build. As the great Ron Burgundy once said, bullshit.
Yeah,
bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's
you got to go get dudes and difference makers. The reason you won the way that you did, Carter, at LSU is because you had difference makers. Here's another thing. If you don't get 2 safeties, I might lose my shit. I might lose it. Because then you're telling me that this is going to be a longer process, and this is going to be another yet slow build.
That was the one thing I cringed the most about with Brian Kelly, when he was like, we're still going to do the high school route. And
from a foundational piece, I agree.
I totally
it's
agree.
It's got to be your foundation. Carter, again, though, you're going to tell me that you're not going for a guard in the portal?
Yeah, it makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. I mean, I understand people are like, well, don't go mercenary, and you're worried about culture and all of that.
How's Ole Miss's culture?
That's right. Exactly. I mean, I'll tell you this: just one one of those transfers that Ole Miss brought in would drastically increase your defense. Okay. And that's the point. That's my major point is has LSU schematically been the absolute best this year? No. Okay. But to me, the bigger problem has been there are just too many guys that just aren't it right now. And it's tough
How many
to get.
times does a quarterback make a bad play because a defensive lineman did something that he schematically he wasn't supposed to do, but his athleticism won him the rep?
Yeah.
That's what makes them the greats. That when you boil it down to simple facts, that's what makes them the greats. Kyle Kennard. I know for a fact that there was an FBS coach in the SEC on this staff who told me Kyle Kennard was going to lead the SEC in sacks this year. And I laughed. Not laughing now. And I know the price tag. I know the price tag on that one. And I'm just going to tell you, if you're not really ready to go out there and snap some necks and cash some checks, it's the fucking Catalina wine mixer, buddy, do I have something bad that I got to tell you?
Yeah.
Carter, you got to. You cannot have another year like this.
Yeah.
That's when shit starts spiraling.
And one thing, and it's important to get proven guys, like someone that is proven, because look, it is impossible to, like, even if you're the best high school developer, it is so freaking hard to find the right guy. And it's so different if I could look at real collegiate Power 4 film and you actually end up being good, right? More often than not, it's going to translate. And I just want to say this for everyone that wants to do the culture thing. Did LSU get scared off by what happened with guys like Denver Harris? There was some of that, okay? But it doesn't excuse not doing it, okay? It doesn't, okay? You got to find those guys. Because, look, Blake, I'll be honest. When watching LSU this weekend, that was one of the more least talented teams we have put on a field that I can remember in the modern era. I mean, you legitimately are picking Vanderbilt to beat us in a home night game this weekend.
Not because of talent. I got to see that you're mentally strong enough to beat him.
Oh, see.
I was going to see how long you're going to wait.
Well,
but
no, I was interested in your read. So you think.
Carter, I saw a team that quit in the second half.
Oh, so you think that they gave up?
I do think that they gave up. I do. Go ahead and play around with Diego Pavia. You go right on ahead.
I will tell you that this Vanderbilt team, a gazillion % is going to have more 1-2 this weekend than LSU. It's impossible to not if you're Vanderbilt. Okay, it's impossible to not, because they've been known as the home wreckers of the SEC this year. And also
Clark Lee wants to get one over on his old coach.
Yeah, one of his mentors. Hell yeah, I would too.
Mm-hmm.
So Vanderbilt's going to come in definitely more locked in. It's impossible. And I know LSU had the players only whatever, but
I'm so tired. Don't shit come from player only meetings.
Yeah. There's no doubt in my mind that every single Vanderbilt player is going to have their chin straps buckled, wanting to murder LSU, to literally pull the spine out of our backs and hold it on the eye of the tiger. That's how badly they want this.
Can you stop a running quarterback?
No. So that's the other thing.
Okay.
Is like,
then Diego Pavia is going to light your ass up.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I'm worried sick about this game.
You better. You think I'm crazy for picking against him.
I'm worried sick. All right.
Last thing. I'm not going to ask you.
Come on, don't do it. You can't do that.
Sage Ryan and Braden Swinson kind of made some headlines the last 24 hours. What have you made of all this?
Of what? You tell me.
I mean, they were out for the first quarter because they were missing meetings, and people's feelings got hurt this week.
Okay.
How about this? Here's what I meant. See if you agree or disagree.
Yeah,
how about you don't show up late for meetings? How about we start being a little bit more accountable and acting like an adult? Yeah. If I'm going to pay you like an adult, you better act like one.
No, I'm with you. Who you are off the field matters. Okay, it matters. It really, really, really does. Now,
I have no sympathy for laziness.
I'm with you. I will say, if in return I get best defensive end in the SEC level play, which Braden Swinson is not the best defensive end in the SEC, but he's played at that level, and I think he played overall a decent game versus Florida, sure. But Sage Ryan,
he's got to be benched. He's got to be benched. I'm sorry. He's got to be benched.
I'll tell you this. The most sinking feeling of my last 5 seasons is watching my dog Boog die. The second worst feeling, okay, outside of other big world events before people go crazy, is knowing when Jaden freaking Ball broke through that Sage Ryan, there's not a single LSU fan that is breathing today that thought Sage Ryan was going to make that tackle. There's not a single one.
Oh, no. You can ask the guys at Service Hawk. I threw my notepad. I threw it down. It was like,
everyone's like, they're like, oh, shit, Sage is back there. Everybody knew. Like, if you were to ask me, if you were to put a gun in my head, hey, Carter, what would you either pick for your livelihood? Sage Ryan making a tackle or Sage Ryan actually pushing him into the end zone, helping him get into the end zone? I would have said, oh, he definitely pushed him in. Not only did he push him in, I would have said, he said, oh, here's $100. I'll give you $100. Sage also probably more than likely would have given him a back rub. All right. I would have guessed that before him actually making the tackle. It's virtually impossible for him to make a touchdown. He can't do it. It's not in the cards. It's impossible. He can't do it. It's kind of like me losing weight during Christmas season. It's not going to happen. All right.
You like them little damn Christmas trees, don't you?
I do. Sage Ryan cannot make a touchdown saving tackle. It is the single most important thing. All right. So why? And I get asked this a lot. Why is it to be the most important thing on a defense? Well, Blake, you played the game. You know this. Every run play is designed for one guy to be unblocked because you have a quarterback and it's impossible to block every single one of the guys. Okay. And then the guy having the football is running.
And that's why it makes the quarterback run so dangerous.
Right. So the guy that's normally unblocked is a safety. All right. So that is a guy that the running back has to miss for an explosive game to be an explosive game. Now, should the run have ever gotten to that point? No. But that is why your fucking name is a safety. You are a safety. You are the safety valve. That is why the position is named that. Okay? Freaking be our safety valve. All right? That ended the game. Because it made it a 2-possession game. If you make Florida execute in the red zone, you might hold them to a field goal and you're still in the game. That one thing it didn't cost you the game.
Carter, they would have been up a touchdown.
What?
They would have only been up a touchdown.
Yes, if you hold them to a field goal. All right. And by the way, all of Florida's touchdowns weren't really red zone execution, right? One was a deep passing play in the extended-ish red zone. Another was a deep passing play that got them down to the 1-yard line. And then you had that 70-plus yard run. That is why the LSU defense is so sickening, because so much of you as a defense is stopping the other team in the red zone, in the reasonable red zone, like making them have to convert from 5 yards out. It's hard as shit to score from the 5-yard line. It's hard. Even if you're given three downs.
Oh, LSU knows it's hard to score in the red zone. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, you can throw it to the other team like we've been doing. You've got to make that tackle. You've got to do it. You are the multiple year into. But what do we do? Okay, we could have dodged this bullet if we would have just, let's say, try and walk in the portal. But we got a bunch of cryptic tweets. Then, well, you know what else is going to be a great idea, Blake? Let's give Sage Ryan the green dot. All right, to line us up and be our leader. Why? Why do this when we know it's going to be a failure? By the way, every position he has tried, even kickoff return, okay, even on kickoff return, it's a disaster. It is a unmitigated disaster when he's on the field. But for some reason, we keep doing it, okay? All right, and like I said, I get very uncomfortable criticizing any player, in particular year one or year two player. But now we got these other discipline things where he's not he's not available in the first quarter. Okay, so we're not going to have him for the first quarter. Let's put him back into the game and give him the green dot, which in many ways is a captaincy. It's you're the leader. You're the one that sets us up. Why? Why do we do this? Why are we sending this message to the rest of the team? Makes no sense. Makes no freaking sense.
Carter, the power of Bryant. That's what makes you the best, buddy.
All right, buddy. We'll talk soon.
Peace. Carter, the power of Bryant. We're going to leave after him on that. We'll see y'all soon. Peace.